you were instrumental in the process that led to the release of the so-called Twitter files. The first response from the legacy media was, there's, what would you say? There's nothing to be seen there. And the second response was, well, there was something to be seen, but we knew it all along. And that's really where the story has settled now. You know, I was reading your Wikipedia page, for example, while preparing for this interview, and some of the criticisms about the Twitter files were, well, you know, nothing that we didn't know already was revealed. And so there's nothing to see here, folks. And so what do you think about that? What's your sense of tell us about participating in the release of the Twitter files and what you think the cultural consequence really was?
Well, first of all, what's interesting about it is that time-wise it happened. I learned that I was going to be doing that right before the Monk debate. We actually got asked a question about Elon Musk maybe opening up the Twitter files during the debate, and I had to pretend that I didn't know the answer to that question. So I flew to San Francisco right from Toronto, and you know, the first batch of the Twitter files, which was about the suppression of the Hunter Biden story, was interesting, but I wouldn't say that it was groundbreaking. There was stuff in there that was worth publishing, but it wasn't until we started to see this organized system of communication between the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, and all these platforms, that there was this sort of highway of content moderation requests that was flowing to all of these companies. I don't know that anybody knew that that was happening. I certainly didn't know that was happening. And, you know, the Twitter itself was denying that it even engaged in shadow banning before the Twitter files. We got rid of that the first day. And, you know, I think what happened was the argument eventually became, well, this is going on, but it's not illegal. It's not technically a First Amendment violation because they're not ordering these companies.
No, it's just behind the scenes collusion between government and big media, hidden from the public. Nothing to see here, you know, and whether or not something is technically illegal, that's a pretty damn shaky moral argument. It's not a bad legal argument.
Yeah, and it's funny because I got a lot of criticism about that, and my response was always, well, I don't care what it is. You know, that's a matter for judges to decide or juries to decide. I'm not gonna worry about that. But I can tell you that showing this to audiences, what it looks like in practice, that not only Americans but a lot of people all over the world thought this was crazy, and they really didn't like it, and it scared them. And I think we can see that with, you know, lawsuits like the Missouri v. Biden lawsuit now, where a judge has ordered it all to stop. You know, it's a big issue in America and around the world, frankly, because you really can't have, you know, a free culture without free speech. And this is a very organized assault on the entire concept. And I think we need to have a big debate about how we're going to go forward on the internet and not do it in secret the way they were trying to do it.
Yeah. Well, it looked to me, you know, watching that from the outside, that I found the documentation revelatory, and the exposure of what I think of as fascist collusion at the highest levels of government and media appalling beyond the belief, especially when allied with the fact that it was really put in the hands of a very tiny number of extremely radical people at Twitter who were making these wide-scale decisions with absolutely no right whatsoever, or training, or competence, or moral guidance to be doing so. And so I thought you guys did a great service. And